Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 5 technical indicators that I just can't trade without. Now, initially, the first part is going to be the JJ bars. Now, that's a charting platform that we have at School of Trade. It's not really an indicator, but I can't trade without it. Those are by far my favorite candle types. Now, looking at the indicators that I'm using, the first one's going to be the entry trigger. Now, the entry trigger indicator is what's plotting these clouds right here. It shows where they cross up. It shows a cloud between the two averages. It gives me an area that I know that I can look for buying opportunities, selling opportunities, and that sort of thing. Now, the way that the entry trigger sort of operates and the way that I use it is essentially when I see a cross in the averages here, which is depicted by this big dot right here, also for the downside there. When I see those dots, I know that the momentum in the markets are shifting, and I can begin to look for a pullback to be able to get in. As an example, looking for a pullback here, we know that we've got the cross up. We've got a 1, 2, 3, which I'll come back to in a second, and we can see prices kind of moving up. This is the afternoon, so it might not be the best example, but here we have a cross down, a 4, 5, 6 continuation, pull back right into the cloud again, and a nice move right back down. So it's a really important aspect of looking at the way that I trade. Now, the next thing, and we kind of touched base on it a little bit, is going to be the wave counter. Now, the wave counter is a phenomenal way to tell what's going on in the markets in the background. And what I mean by that is I can see that, we're making new highs. We have a 2 here, 3, 4. Prices making consistent highs. But when we start breaking lower, we get a signal reset. We get a 1, 2, 3 in the opposite direction. Now, I love trading 1, 2, 3s. Those are my favorite pattern. But in this case, looking at what we just looked at, the entry trigger, we never had a cross here, right? So I know that I'm not quite looking for that signal yet. But as soon as we see that 4, 5, 6 continuation, meaning a 4 to a 5, projecting for a 6, we know that we can start looking for another pullback into an area that we can look to sell, which we had a dot right there. We knew we crossed down, really straightforward, but it makes finding these trades just significantly easier. It takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, and it makes a huge difference in your trading. Now, the next thing is going to be the JJ range. Now, the JJ range is basically a way that we can plot the previous areas, high, low, previous day's ranges, that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is we'll just scroll up to the previous day's range. Yesterday was a pretty big day, but essentially what it does is it takes the previous high of day, previous low of day below, and several other areas, including swing highs, lows, that kind of stuff, and projects them forward. So I know that when we come into those areas, it's going to be an area of support or resistance. If we break above, expect it to act as support until we break below, where we should see resistance. Now, this is part of several patterns that we use in terms of trading, so it is a really important indicator. Now, yeah, you can just go back and plot the lines on the highs or lows, but this does more than just the previous day. This goes back to every previous high of day, previous low of day that hasn't been broken or tested. So right off the bat, it makes a huge difference from just a typical indicator. On top of that, it plots the previous swing highs, swing lows, and important levels that we need to pay attention to. So another really important indicator that we need to use. Now, the next one is kind of a quaint little one, if you will, but it's called the reversal bar. Now, the reversal bar, we've done a video on this before, a tutorial video on what the reversal bar is, but the reversal bar in itself is what we use to get into trades. It's a signal that we can see that when all the other things line up, wait for a reversal bar, and it'll give us a signal to hop into the trade. So as an example, we'll look at the one that we just had here. So we already know that the 1, 2, 3 wasn't quite good enough, didn't have that cross. When we pushed down again, we had that cross lower into a 4 to a 5. Now, this 5 wouldn't have been here right off the bat, but this 4 was. So we knew that the 4, 5, 6 was coming. Now, what we want to see is a pullback up into an area that we want to be looking to sell, whether it's in the cloud, off of one of the averages, off of a fib level, whatever it is, but we're looking for a pullback. And you can see once we start getting into those areas, as an example, looking at the cloud, we have a reversal bar, this purple bar right here, fire off as soon as we tag the cloud. Really, really strong signal that we're going to get some selling pressure coming in. Now, that's one of the ways you can use those to enter into trades. You can use them at double tops, double bottoms. You can use them pretty much anywhere that you want. Really strong indicator, makes it visually easy to see what's going on. And you can, it makes it easy to get into trades. And the less thinking that I have to do during the day, trying to figure out, is this indicator in the right place, or is this in a good place, or without having to worry about all of that stuff, it takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders. So you can actually just look look at the patterns and let it soak in and take the trades confidently without having to kind of double guess yourself. And then the final one is going to be the support and resistance zones. And the support and resistance zones that I have based on my regular chart is off of a 60-minute. And the nice thing about that is I can take a 60-minute zone and I can use that to trade off of. Now, let's get all of those stars aligned, and we'll go back to a zone that we had earlier this morning. We had a buy zone here on the 60-minute chart. And you can see we came down into the buy zone after having a huge wave count, 21, 22, 23, really overextended. Tagged the wave the first time, reversal bar, bounced higher. Didn't quite get that cross up though, kind of fell back down. Once we embedded back into the zone, kind of rattled around a little bit, couple reversal bar entries there, moved higher, pulled back, then we got one of my favorite patterns, especially off of a zone. We have a cross higher into a 1, 2, 3 pullback right into the cloud with a reversal bar triggering us to go long. Now, I mean, you can't really ask for a much better pattern than that. This is literally picture perfect, gorgeous pattern. And I would never have been able to see that without all of the indicators that I'm using. Now, you can see even though there are, 5 indicators loaded on my charts, it's not that cluttered. There's not too much going on. I can see price visually. I can see everything really easily, and that's really important. You need to be able to see what's going on in your charts without having, 1,003 different indicators loaded on and getting in the way. So those are the 5 technical indicators that I just can't trade without. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade, and don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. Have a good one. Bye.